Hi everyone. Today we are going to work on the examples about distance between the 2 points, midpoint of a line segment, standard form of a circle's equation, give the center and radius of a circle whose equation is in standard form, convert the general form of a circle equation to standard form. Okay, the general form of circle equation to the standard form. So we're going to do one by one each one of those. Let's start with the distance between the 2 points. Now the distance between the 2 points, like x1 and y1. So let's do the distance first. So distance between the 2 points, like for example I have 2 points, x1 and y1. You know the order pair means points, right? And another point I have x2 and y2, and these are my 2 points in the rectangular coordinates system, okay, like x-axis and y-axis. So the formula that we use for the distance is going to be d equal, which is distance, okay, it will be the square of the difference between x coordinate and between y coordinates, and the square of the difference between the y coordinates, and the principal square root of this sum is the distance. So that's what I'm talking about. You mean the square of the difference between the x coordinates first. The difference means subtraction. In the x coordinate, I'm gonna pick x2 minus x1, and the square of the difference of the x coordinates. That's what it means. Then I'm adding the difference of the y coordinates, y2 minus y1, the square, the difference between the y coordinates, the square of the difference between the y coordinates. So, and everything is within the square root. So the principal square root of this sum is the distance. Okay, so this is what the distance formula is going to be. Okay, now I'm going to give you example for the distance formula first, which is right here. I'm going to move this example up there so we can do it. Okay, right there. So find the distance between -1, -3 and 2, 3. Express the answer in simplified radical form and then round to 2 decimal places. Guys, every time please read the question very carefully, okay? Anytime you are doing any test or taking even a p-test, read the questions carefully. So find the distance between -1, -3, 2, 3. You do know these are my 2 points, so I can label them x1, y1, and this is very important. Like, I don't know, the student doesn't care about this, but it's really important that you label them, because sometimes when we start plugging in, we forget about, okay, which one was x1, which one was x2, or which one is y2 and y1, and most of the time we mix up these things if we don't label them, and you get the wrong answer. So let's do the distance, d equal, and I'm going to write my formula, x2 minus x1 whole squared plus y2 minus y1 whole squared, and everything within the square root. Okay, let's plug in. Now it's easy because we already labeled them, okay? So x2 is right there, which is +2, minus x1 is -1, which is right there, and the whole thing is within the square, plus y2 is 3, y1 is -3, and I'm putting parentheses so you can see they are separated from them. And there you go, square root. And don't forget the square root every time, okay, in every step. So now I have, they turn positive, right? These two turn positive. 2 plus 1 is going to give me 3. 3 square is what I'm getting here. Plus, add them together, 3 plus 3 is 6, so that will be my 6 squared, and again in the square root. equal, okay, D equal, I have 3 times 3 is 9, 6 times 6 is 36, and again square root. So I'm going to go back again, D equal, 9 plus 36 is 45, and within the square root. Now, if you guys, I mean, I'm done so far, this is my distance, but the question said express the answer in a simplified radical. Like, don't change it into decimal, it has to be in radical. So D equal, find the factors of 45. The factors of 45 are 9 and 5, right? So I'm going to write that 9 and 5, and that's how we find, this is times. That's how we find the radical, simplified radical answer. So you know 9 is a perfect square. So what I'm going to do, D equal, 9 is a perfect square, it goes outside, 5 stays inside. 5 is not a perfect square. So this is actually my simplified form of radical. Now, they said also then round to 2 decimal places. So I got this one, that's what they were asking. And now when you plug this in the calculator, you should have a 2 decimal places, by the way. So I have 6.71, and that's approximately, okay? So that's what I got. So I answered each one of the question. Okay, let's go back to the midpoint, okay? Now, midpoint is, the second thing is midpoint, right? So we finished distance. Now let's do midpoint of a line segment. Consider the line segment whose endpoints, like this is my line segment, and whose endpoints, before I do that, this is done, okay, let me write down midpoint. That's why we're doing midpoint. So draw a line segment. Line segment is like that, and you have 2 endpoints right there. I can say this is x1 and y1, this is x2 and y2, right? Comma and comma. So these are my 2 endpoints right there. The coordinates of the segments midpoint are, so that's the midpoint formula that I'm showing you right now. So it's going to be m equal x1 plus x2 divided by 2, because it's a midpoint, the middle point. Like, what is this? That's m, middle point. Divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And that's my midpoint formula. And make sure that you remember that's comma between them, okay? To find the midpoint, take the average of the 2 x coordinates, average divided by how many numbers you have. That's what average. So I have 2 of those, so I'm dividing by 2. So find the midpoint, take the average of the 2 x coordinates in the average of 2 y coordinates. So let's do one of this example for the midpoints, and this is my midpoint. Okay, let's go back, click this again. Oh, okay, let's do this. Now that's my midpoint formula, and let's solve the question. Okay, I'm going to use a different color. I like different colors. Okay, here's the green. So find the midpoint of the line segment with endpoints at 1, 2, and 7, -3. So I can say x1, y1, x2, and y2. And my midpoint formula is m equal x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2, and everything within the parentheses like an order pair. So let's plug in whatever we have so far. M equal, what is x1? 1, plus x2 is 7 divided by 2, y1 is 2, plus y2 is -3, so I'm going to put parentheses and separate it over 2, and everything within the parentheses. Now I'm going to go back here. M equal 7 plus 1 is 8, so that's 8 over 2, comma, this one, you know, they multiply, right? So positive times negative, when they have this parentheses between the 2 signs, you always multiply. Positive times parentheses means multiplication. So positive times negative is negative, and 2 subtract 3 is going to give me -1/2. Now solve this further. M equal, when I simplify, this is going to give me 4, and I can simplify that one, just leave it alone. So that's my midpoint. Okay. Now let's we finished the midpoint. Okay, the next thing we are doing circle. Standard form of a circle equation. That's the third part. Actually, guys, the circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point called the center. The fixed distance from the circle's center to any point on the circle is called radius. So this distance is fixed from the center of the circle to any point on the circle is called radius. So I can use a different color than this is radius r, and I know that's the center. The center order pair is always going to be hk. H means x, k means a y value. So when you see in the equation hk, it means that's a center. H is a x, k is a y value, and radius is r. So the standard form of the equation of the circle, standard form of the equation of the circle is equal x minus h squared plus y minus k whole squared equal r squared. So this is my circle standard equation. H and k, this is x value, that's a y value, and these two are making center of the circle. R is a radius. Okay, let's do some examples for that. Now write the standard form of the equation of the circle, and that's my equation, so just remember it, with the center a 0, -6, and radius 10. So this radius is r, and this is h, and that's my k, because they said that's a center. So center x and y value, we just the notation is h and k for the center order pair. So now I'm going to do plug in everything, but I have to write my formula first. The standard one, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. So replace h with 0 squared, replace k with -6 equal r, which is 10 squared. Okay, now you know 0 doesn't do anything, so I'm just gonna disappear it, and that's x squared plus y, and these two turn positive, 6 squared equal 100. And this is my standard equation of the circle. Find the center in the radius of the circle, whose equation is x plus 3 whole squared plus y minus 1 whole squared equal 4. So the question is asking me which one is the center, like what is the order pair for the center, and you can tell, you know that that's h, and you know that's k. So these are my h and k, x and y's for the center, but you have to be very careful. The standard equation that we have this negatives, right? So if I have negative here and I have a 3, so you know how it turned positive, like this case. You know how I got the positive 6 because I multiplied the two negatives. So it means my h value was -3. Like for example, look at this, okay? Minus -3 whole squared. And when I change this, it's going to give me x plus 3 squared. So anytime you see the sign up here, make sure you make these signs opposite of what they have right now. So if this is positive, I would say the center is -3, which is an h, x value, and that's my y, k, and it's negative, then I'm going to say, okay, that's +1. because I know how this one got negative and I know how this one got positive. Like this, for example, the y was minus and I had a positive 1, right? Squared, and this turned y minus 1 squared. So that's why we go opposite of what the signs are to just make it easier. Okay, then they said the radius of the circle whose equation is, okay, the radius, this is radius. We know 4 is radius. But this 4 is already been squared. This is already squared. Like, if I want to get rid of the square, then you know we have to do the square root. Radius is square root of 4, which will give me 2. So that was actually 2 squared, which turned into 4, right? So to get rid of the, to make sure that what is the square root of this, you know square and square root are, they go together. If you want square, then if you don't want square, like opposite operations, okay? Like, if you don't want square, then take a square root of it. If you don't want square root, take a square of it. So that's how it goes. So that's my radius. Okay, now we have another example. Find the center and radius of the circle whose equation is x plus 3 square plus y minus 1 whole square equal 4, and then graph the equation, right? So let's do that. Find the center and radius of the circle. So what is the center of the circle? Let's try that one. Center is equal, you know that's h, you know that's a k, and we go opposite of the sign, so it's going to be -3 and 1, right? And what is the radius? And it's already been squared, so that's 2, right? So let's graph this. I know -3 and 1, 1, 2, 3 and 1, that's the center of the circle, and radius is 2, 1 and 2, like the distance from this to this is 2. Okay, so I already draw this center, the circle, I'm sorry, and let's move this over here. Okay, I tried my best, guys. So this is my center, and if you guys look at it, the distance is the same from the center. So 1, 2, 1, 2, right there. 1, 2 from the center. Everywhere you go, that's going to be 1, 2. So that's my, that's how you can graph your equation. Okay. Another example. This one is said, find the center and radius of the circle whose equation is x plus 3 whole square plus y minus 1 whole square equal 4. Use the graph of the equation to identify the relations domain and range. So I can easily figure it out what my domain, center and radius is from the equation, and this is the graph that they are already giving me in the question that says use the graph of the equation to identify the relations domain and range. So what is the domain and range of this? That's what we are looking for. So let's do the center and the radius first. You do know that's h and that's a k. So center is going to be -3 because we go opposite of these signs, and that's +1. And the radius is, this has already been squared, so it means that's a square root of 4, which is giving me 2. Now, what is a domain and range? You know domain means x values, right? Values on the x-axis, which is right there. This is actually a y one. So this is my domain. Right there, the x-axis right there. And they have these arrows thingy. The red one is a domain, like it's starting from -5 and going all the way to -1. And if guys, you pay attention here, always the smallest interval, like if you're looking for domain x-axis, right, then the smallest number is gonna go first in the parentheses. Okay, this is gonna go first in the parentheses, or maybe if we have brackets. If the interval is included, like it's not a whole, and -5 is right there. You know -5 is a closed circle. You know -1 up here is a closed circle. So it means I'm using brackets. So the domain is starting -5 and then -1, right? And I used brackets because these points are included, like they are closed circle. Closed circle, you can say it's a point, defined point. I don't know, these are all the different names that they use: included, closed circle, and defined point. Okay, so what is the range? So let's do range, and I'm doing domain in red, so because they have the red line, and I'm doing blue the range. Range means y values. Again, I'm starting from the smallest number, which is the y value is right there, which is -1, and that -1 is included, by the way, so I have a bracket, like it's a defined point. And I'm going all the way up there to 3. And 3 is also included, it's a defined point. Okay, defined point means like when you plug in x, you get y. And when you look at the graph, it's supposed to be like closed circle, like it's supposed to be a point. You have an x and you have a y value for it. If it's a circle, if I have an x, then it's going to be x, but you have a circle on that x, and it means you don't have that y value there. Okay, it's a circle, it's a hole. So, and it's not included, you're going to use parentheses. So that's how these things goes. Okay, so the general, we did the center. Okay, how much we finished? Let's see. Center radius in a standard form. Now we are converting general form into a standard form. So what is the general form of the circle? So general form of the equation of the circle is going to be this, okay, x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f equal 0. And this is a general form of the equation of a circle. Okay, that's a general form. So what is DEF? DEF are real numbers. And I was gonna show you, if you have a general form, how do you change this back to standard form? And you know my standard form was x minus h squared. Let me show you that one. This one, that's my standard form, right? So x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square equal r square. How do I change it to that? So let's try one of the example really quick. For example, I have x squared plus y square. For D, I have a real number 4x minus 4y plus, I'm sorry, not plus, minus 1. So that's F, that's E, that's D, equal 0. So when I see this, I can tell that's my general form of the general form of the circle equation. So how do I change this into my standard form? So let's try, okay? All the x's, put them together, like x squared plus 4x within the parentheses plus y squared minus 4y within parentheses equal 0. I'm sorry, not 0, 1. So that's 1. I moved the 1 up here. Now what else we can do here? X squared plus 4x, and that one is y squared minus 4y. If you guys remember, I think from algebra 1 or algebra 2, I was completing squares. So I'm using completing square method to solve these. So completing square means I have x squared, and I'm going to keep that 4x and I leave the space. Then I have plus y squared minus 4y, and I leave the space equal 1. Now, if I have 4x, completing square means you divide this 4 by 2 and then square it, okay, and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to have a plus 4 here. And that plus 4, it's going to go up here too on the other side. Whatever we do on one side of equation, you have to do it on the other side. That's the rule. Okay, let me use another color. In here, I know this is minus 4y. So if I divide negative 4 by 2, it's going to give me negative 2, and you square it, it's going to give me positive 4. So that 4 also goes here. Okay, so this is how it goes. Like up here I didn't include that positive, but you know there is a positive there. Okay, so this is what I got. Now how do I solve this? This is going to give me x plus 2. If I factor out this, will be x plus 2, and I have x plus 2. If I factor this out, it's going to give me y minus 2 and y minus 2. That's just a quadratic, like usually we solve the quadratic factor. That's what it is. When I add them, it's going to give me 9. Now, if they are exactly the same, then you can rewrite this like x plus 2 whole squared, like I have 2 of those. And then I have y minus 2 whole squared equal 9. So this is my standard form. That's my general form of the equation, and this is my standard form of the equation. So I changed it. You know, that's my h, that's my k, which is a center. This is negative 2, that's positive 2 as a center. I can rewrite this. For example, my center in this case is going to be negative 2 and positive 2 because the signs changed, remember. In the radius, this one is already been squared, so 9 square root is going to give me 3. So the radius is 3 because 9 is a perfect square. So what did I do? I used a completing square method, and then I factored out. Usually we factor quadratic equations, and I can rewrite this up here so you can factor them really good. 4x plus 4, then you factor out up here y square minus 4y plus 4. Again, that's a quadratic. Okay, so that's how we factor out. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. I will help you with more examples, and I can also do one-on-one Zoom with you guys if you have any issues. Please like my lessons and subscribe. Thank you so much.